Oh, I'm sorry. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm doing the getting the cuts on this. I wanted to do this for you for Toward Liberty, and I'm trying to pull out the sections that are pertinent. I'm going to go ahead and start from the beginning, and I'll put this on the YouTube. You can see it, but I just want you to get an introduction on who he was. All right, here we go. Go ahead and play. Oscar-winning short documentary, 1980.
This punch card could be a portrait of you and your family. A portrait owned and manipulated by an all-powerful Big Brother government. And you work 4 whole months a year to pay Big Brother here in Washington to plan and regulate your life, your business, the teaching of your children, your protection, and even comfort you on the way to your final reward.
They're showing punch cards.
There are many people to whom it is a frightening picture, and this man speaks for them.
We must take a first step toward ending in our time the erosion of individual worth and responsibility by a growing federal bureaucracy.
Most people who came
Barry
from
Goldwater.
right like I did were against the federal government, root and branch, at all times.
This is Carl Hess.
Later, I began to understand that there are other institutions that play similar roles that I just didn't know about then. Now I know about them, I dislike them just as much as the federal government, the big corporations, the big universities. Any institution that exercises power over people in an arbitrary way so that people are not responsible for their own actions, but instead become simply the players in someone else's scenario.
Toward Liberty, Carl Hess, a film by Roland Halley and Peter Ledoux. Now, this is, they went on about, who he is and where he came from and so on. But there's the one thing, I'm going to try and just skip to it here, to where he's talking about self-sustainability and, how to determine who bad guys are. It's just really simple, basic stuff that I think is, because he's saying, when you want to see who the bad guys are, you just, who are the bullies, Let's go ahead and start it here. Maybe we can pick it up. And go.
If society is some big thing, society is people together making culture. And I think the most crucial part of all the considerations about social matters is scale. Society, in fact, is neighborhoods. And I think it should be that in practice. The perspective of a neighborhood is really amazing. In that perspective, you can take the most horrible things and see them in a new and much less horrifying light. Hitler in a neighborhood is a bully. Hitler as head of the Federal Republic of Germany, elected official, is a horror. There is a point in the scale of social organization beyond which the purposes and the practices of the people involved cannot be reflected. The perspective of a neighborhood is really amazing. In that perspective, you can take the most horrible things and see them in a new and much less horrifying light. Hitler in a neighborhood is a bully. Hitler as head of the Federal Republic of Germany, elected official, is a horror.
I don't know why that repeated.
There is a point in the scale of social organization beyond which the purposes and the practices of the people involved cannot be reflected. The sort of society that I think of when I think of a free and democratic one is, first of all, one in which everyone is responsible for their own actions. That's a beginning point. The second thing is where they have opportunity to participate in all of the decisions that affect their lives, not to select someone else to do it for them. And when you start out by saying people should be responsible for the development of their own technology, you're suggesting people living in a way entirely different from the way they live today, which is as consumers. You're suggesting that they live as producers as well. Now, imagining a society like that, you can't really imagine that the important matter of tools, of how you grow things, build things, could be let go. I mean, you simply can't have a society that is democratic in its politics and not democratic in its industry and its technology. Well, solar energy has a very broad implication. It falls over the entire Earth. It's very decentralized. If energy can be picked up from any point on the Earth, it sort of suggests to you that you don't need central mechanisms, that you can produce important things at a local level. Nuclear energy suggests that you have to have big central organizations. So you're having these two sources of energy, the summing up of the major political debate of our time. Can people be free in a decentralized and democratic way, or do they have to be regimented on behalf of big central organizations? Nuclear says regiment, the sun says freedom. Today, more and more people want to live in a more independent, self-reliant, less institutional way. The kind of tools and techniques that are chosen to support that way of life have been given the name alternative or appropriate technology. If you have a free society, the tools and techniques appropriate to that will be of a certain kind. Not a certain kind in the sense that there'll be high technology or low technology. There'll be a certain kind in the sense that they can be developed and deployed and maintained by the people involved, so that just as their politics is participatory, so is their material base. Some people think appropriate technology means making your own candles and wearing a lot of beads and saying wow a lot. It would seem to me it's the other way around. Appropriate technology means that you got to know more than all those people at MIT. They can make a gadget that is just plain dumb, and there's always General Motors and the U.S. government to support it.
Now, this is 1980, and they're talking about, all the wasted money on stuff. The International Space Station, and on and on and on. Keep in mind, 1980, and they were showing fish feeding off algae in these closed biosystems. 1980. It's a fundamental understanding of humanity and the democratic processes of
technology.
Here we go.
Got to make things that are elegant, really smart, that really work. Before working on the house, I had an idea that metal was the only thing I could work with because the most delicate instrument.
And then it went on about how he learned how to weld, and he built his own home, and he made it the way he and his wife wanted, and so on. This is a very good movie. We should do more copies of this because it is from someone that was very prominent in the creation of the Libertarian Party and its sustaining years as it went on. And he was, at the heart of conservatism as a speechwriter for Barry Goldwater. A lot of people never even heard of Carl Hess or knows the role that he played. He was also, after Barry Goldwater's 64 run for presidency that he lost to LBJ, he had his own conservative newspaper that he published in the 60s and 70s that Carl Hess was head of. So he would be out welding and doing whatever and get all cleaned up, go to Washington and cover some whatever. So this is, he really... in the beginning of the movie, he starts to give his perception of how Washington worked from being on the inside. And, when you challenge the wrong guys, they come after you. But he understood, the last thing he was talking about is that it's not about high or low tech. It's about how much can you understand of it? How much control do you have over the technology? So this is stuff this concept has been the battle. Sustaining yourself. surviving, breathing in and out, getting off the grid, being independent. Technology has changed. We have the capacity now. We're, as individuals, are a danger to those that would rule us. That's why I'm focusing on the concept of self-ownership. All this other stuff is just a manifestation of that. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the information that detail the real news between the lines of propaganda about government policies and the true relationship we all have with coercive governments. Learn the true condition of our economy, innovations and technological breakthroughs in energy, health, computer science, and space travel. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media, the media that is so last century. Corporate media has evolved into nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but we now have a fantastic alternative. FreedomsPhoenix.com provides constant news updates on the issues that affect our lives in the most important ways. Our liberty and our property are under constant attack, and FreedomsPhoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda while encouraging the participation of our readers. Join us at FreedomsPhoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. FreedomsPhoenix.com, where the revolution between the ears has already matured.